Guys, there is a drone posted in the sky right there. I don't know what is going on out here. This is crazy.
Now, drone looks like a Ring doorbell camera, doesn't it? These things are everywhere now. And honestly, I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. It's really probably just the start of how this tech is going to fully integrate itself into our daily lives. Welcome to my Awoken family. It's Thursday. How is everyone doing? The weekend draws near. Let's try and lift each other up with a lovely positive message in the comments to brighten someone's day. As always, today's episode is packed with insights to challenge your perspective, uncover hidden truths, and connect the dots. Let's dive into this rabbit hole together.
No way. That is crazy. It's not burning. All right, I gotta test this, you guys. Let's see. Let's test it. Come on. What the heck? That took so long to burn that? I mean, eventually it burns, but that's crazy. So a post on this got fact-checked and people said it didn't burn because of the sugars and it takes a while for the sugar to caramelize. If I did this to real food, it would burn instantly. You guys know that if I did this to a steak or milk or anything, it would burn. That is not food. You should not be eating this. We are being poisoned by ultra-processed junk food. And this is a really incredible visual illustration of that. That thing is full of seed oils. It is full of high fructose corn syrup. It is full of things that are not food for you. If you eat things like that are poisonous for you, you're gonna be sick. If you eat real food, which would burn, you'll be healthy. It's as simple as that.
Alright, hands up. How many of you are still going to continue eating those after seeing this? And also, did you know about the satanic symbol on them? That alone would, make you think twice. It's crazy how they embed things like this into just the most mundane things.
Collapse of the German government has sent shockwaves through Europe over the past 48 hours. I'm joined today by Anna Nguyen. She's a German politician from the Alternative for Germany party. Just as outsiders looking in here, Americans, Canadians, or international audience watching what's happening in Germany, can you give us an update on where things stand? I understand, of course, on Monday, German Chancellor Olaf Scholz, of course, lost that confidence vote in Parliament. But where do things stand today as we head into the Christmas holiday in Germany?
As of today, Scholz does actually need to ask our federal president Steinmeier to dissolve the Bundestag, which is our federal parliament. And after that, we can have snap elections on the 23rd of February. So that's the date where we will most probably have our snap elections, and then Bundestag will be elected.
Do you know what strikes me as unusual? It's like what's happening out in Europe right now feels like the beginning of something much bigger. And I've been saying for a while that the EU could morph into the United States of Europe. When you start considering things like the BRICS expansion and whispers about Canada becoming the 51st state of the US, these steps towards globalization seem more strategic than coincidental, and it's all happening at a very specific time. These are just my thoughts, but what's your take on it?
Yeah, let's move into that. What do you know about that? A lot. They had a big old Xerox of this document that was a wiretap of Marilyn Monroe, dated a couple of days before they found her dead. And it was signed by the CIA guy, James Jesus Angleton III. Now, he was a famous fanatical leak mole hunter and leak stopper at the agency back in the early 60s. Fanatical. And they had wiretapped Marilyn Monroe's phone, and she was calling up Bobby Kennedy and a friend of hers named Rothberg in New York, who's an art dealer, saying that she was going to hold a press conference to tell the whole world what Kennedy had told her, including the objects from outer space from the 40s found in New Mexico. Conference to tell the world about what Jack Kennedy told her during Teletalk about the ET issue. So I have that document. It's tough.
Stephen Greer is popping up everywhere lately, and that makes me uneasy. I won't lie to you, he does seem like a plant, someone designed to steer a narrative in a particular direction. Maybe he started off with sincere intentions, but I don't know, he's been doing this long enough now that the money may have got to him. Do you think we'll get a real disclosure even by this month, or just a crafted story to keep us distracted? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Are you enjoying this journey so far? Small piece of advice, but you can take back control control of your newsfeed by hitting that subscribe button so you don't miss a single upload, and I upload a video every single day. If this video is resonating with you, please consider dropping a like on it. It's a quick little move, but it helps the community to grow. And as always, we're aiming for around 3,000 likes on this video. You guys have been totally wiping the floor with these goals, so thank you so much. And make sure that you stick around to see if your comment is featured at the end of this video.
There's a lot of talk right now on how Squid Games may be based on a true story, specifically on a situation that happened back in 1986. The situation is called the Brothers Home and took place in Busan, South Korea back in the 70s and 80s. Brothers Home was a 20-factory internment camp that housed thousands, consisting of homeless people, children, and people that protested against the government. These people were taken right out of their homes or off of the streets, put in some of the worst living conditions in modern day history, and forced to do work. If they refused to work, they were And allegedly, the influential, the wealthy, and even the police department was in on it. So when family members will report their loved ones missing, nothing would happen and the case wouldn't get followed up on. Now, no one knows for sure whether or not Squid Games was based on the Brothers Home incident. It's possible that it was one of many inspirations. But I will say that I wouldn't be surprised if the idea behind Squid Games of billionaires putting together some twisted game was true in some sense and the general public just had no idea about it.
I think it's pretty wild how these dark stories only seem to surface so long after this TV show or any other show releases, you know? Like for instance in the case of Squid Games, why is this surfacing so late? In my opinion, TV has just become the modern Colosseum, distracting us while the real issues get buried.
When I think about ghosts and stuff, it's more like perspective is watching movies, what we thought ghosts should be like, and all that thing. The word spirit is something that involves everything. Everything in nature has got its own spirit, you can call it, and we can also call it frequency or vibrant. The tree outside, is it a spirit? It's a tree. It's a living being. At the same time, it's carrying a certain frequency. The tree may be been here a few hundred years before us, carrying that frequency. In the work that we are studying, it allows us to recognize that frequency and connect and try to learn from that, without thinking that we know it already.
We feel like when people have sort of segregated spirit from itself and sort of into this brand of something to be feared when people have certain phenomenon happen.
Or something other than us.
Other than us. And when we've worked and sat with tribes and certain medicines, they have a very different perspective on it. As you said, it's not the paranormal, it's just normal. They live one with spirit. They live in harmony with spirit. They understand everything is spirit.
Everything has energy, everything resonates. Could it be that when people see ghosts, they're tuning into fragments of the collective consciousness? Maybe some people are just wired to perceive things different. My perspective on spiritual energy has changed drastically over the past few months, but what's your take on it?
Have you guys seen automated demand grocery pricing? No. On-demand pricing. So the theory is that, so you go to a fast food and it's lunchtime and there's a lot of people in line. So what they're going to do is raise prices so it can deter the line. And then when it's really slow, like about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, prices are going to be cheaper. So it encourage people to come, but there's no constant prices. It's just regulated on-demand pricing. But now they're moving it on into the grocery stores.
So these are the new digital price screens.
So they got rid of the price tag.
So the whole goal of these is to address the prices on the items as they become
like
more in demand. So for example,
or something.
Right now these are 90
cents.
cents.
It's 90 cents.
Let's say around 6 o'clock or during the busier time, these will go up to $1. They'll fluctuate based off of demand. So
you get to watch some ads while you're
these are connected to the Wi-Fi and to the registers. Once the inventory on these items become low, the prices will start to shoot up to $1.20. They're going to start incorporating all these all over. Yeah, so it's pretty crazy. I'll come back later on in the day and you'll see this go up and down in price. You'll see it go as low as like 89 cents.
Yeah, this literally sounds like George. And I'm not talking about the curious one. Orwell, Rinbacher.
Did you know that Carrefour in France has been using dynamic pricing for decades? I remember seeing this in Paris 22 years ago. Prices changed in real time. It's wild that this concept is only now reaching other places, but why now at all times?
I was just reading a screenshot of an article that was in a post about how they want to put generative AI inside of more home appliances, to which I say, no, not again. We're not doing this again. We're not pretending this is a good idea again, huh? Does no one remember smart appliances? Does no one remember every refrigerator having a touchscreen? I remember. I just got rid of a refrigerator with a touchscreen. When we bought our house came with a Samsung smart fridge. That is not a sentence that actually makes sense. Samsungs have never even made a fridge that works, much less a fridge that's smart. No, this is a fridge that had a touchscreen. And about 10 years ago, 8 years ago, 5 years ago, every fridge, every refrigerator had a touchscreen in them. You couldn't buy one without a brand new touchscreen in it. So you could tweet from your fridge. Don't you remember that? Oh, tweet from your fridge. It's going to be you could tweet out that you need milk. No, I don't want any of this. None of us wanted this. In fact, it failed so miserably that now when we went to go replace our fridge, to go buy a new fridge, we went to the store, I had one rule: no touchscreens. And I walked up to the man, I said, no Samsung fridges, no touchscreens. And the guy goes, that's not a problem. None of these fridges have touchscreens anymore. I said, what happened? He said, nobody liked them. Nobody bought them. And now here we are, and we're doing the same grift all over again. Now they're going to say, we're going to put AI in the fridges. And they said, why? Well, if you open up the refrigerator, maybe you could say, hey, when am I going to need more milk? And the AI fridge could tell you. Or, here's an idea. I could use my eyes. When do I need more milk? Oh, let's see, it's almost empty. You better go to the store.
Smart appliances are data collectors disguised as convenient tech. Add AI to the mix and suddenly your private life is anything but private. We're literally inviting these Trojan horses into our homes. You gotta stay vigilant. A massive shout out to my amazing channel members. You are the backbone of this community. You keep it alive and thriving. Not just for myself, but for the entire community. If you'd like to join and unlock some exclusive perks, please consider checking out the link in the description below. Sincerely, thank you so much for making all of this possible.
Hey, it's Glamham. Quick update from Los Angeles, where we have now multiple fires and crazy wind gusts that have not even reached their peak yet. It has been so deafening. The wind, there's debris everywhere. The Santa Ana winds are normal. So for those who are thinking, oh, what's making the wind? This is a normal wind. But what we have here is a deadly cocktail exactly identical to that of Lahaina, where you have a drought situation that has allowed everything to be bone dry, and now we've got a fire, and the gusts have been 35, 45 miles an hour, and approximately any time right now they're going to kick up to 80 miles per hour, and everybody's saying probably up to 100 miles an hour, which I can't even fathom, because the 45 miles an hour has been terrifying, absolutely terrifying. There's pieces of trees everywhere. Hundreds of people actually abandoned their cars, and forklift trucks had to move them out the way for the fire trucks. The other thing that's exactly like Lahaina is that over there, I was just there, you know that, and I talked to a lot of people over there. We won't talk about that in the video, but the fire was coming down the mountain. Usually it goes up. It was coming down because the wind was being pulled down, and this is exactly what we have here. The people who need the prayers, all these residents in the area, and especially the heroic firefighters who are going to have one heck of a night ahead of them. Take care, everyone, and I'll see you in the comments.
Do you know what? I am inclined to trust Glamham when she says something is normal, because her work, generally speaking, has been verifiable independently, and she has nothing to gain from, misleading us when it comes to the safety of people, especially with the fact that she's from there. So either way, stay safe out there. If you are in these affected areas, it looks pretty rough.
Now, you guys keep saying really crazy things about UFOs, specifically stuff with Bob Lazar, thinking, he said that there's no control surfaces, so you fly it with your mind, and that explains all of the government studies into consciousness and out-of-body experiences. You're just crazy. I mean, yeah, the CIA spent billions of dollars studying consciousness and out-of-body experiences. You can read these files on their website, but see, the CIA is not even really part of the government. They just look at people with telescopes. Or this file talking about a flying saucer in the sky. What are you, 9 years old? Grow up. Go drink a beer. Or these photos of people that claim they got abducted by aliens and had injuries for it. That guy slipped a disc from getting launched into a spaceship. I slipped a disc because I can't stop getting money. Or this, whatever that is, I looked like that because I was smoking aged Lithuanian monkey crust. Or don't even get me started on this flower of life that explains the whole universe. Yeah, maybe all of our ancient cultures were weirdly obsessed with this one shape that ties into a lot of geometry and physics, but they were poking bears with sticks to have food. Or this lady, Pachita, who was a spiritual healer, that's a monkey smoking a cigarette. Or what about this really credible physicist, physics isn't even real by the way, who had these intense out-of-body experiences and contributed heavily to the study of the gateway process and all this stuff with consciousness. He was just dreaming. Or the argument, oh, there's been UFO sightings since the beginning of history. That is clearly a bald eagle, and if you see anything else, you need to go to a mental institution. Or the argument, oh, what if the aliens are scary? It's a $30 Uber across that forehead. You cannot be scared about that. I and 6 other people could ice skate on that thing. And have you seen the drawings of how these things dress? They dress like bisexual construction paper. Do you think something that traverses the stars will have that terrible of a sense of fashion? Or, I don't know, these plasmoids that have been seen since World War II. We used to call them Foo Fighters, these fireballs in the sky that would taunt our planes. That's called a balloon. Anyways, you guys are all crazy, but I still love you, and thank you.
Alright, in case you didn't get this whole thing, it was him being sarcastic intentionally. I'm sure you probably picked up on that anyway, but still, the information dump was solid for anyone who's trying to catch up with everything that's really gone on over the last 30 to 50 years.
Facebook parent company Meta is ending third-party fact-checking partnerships with all US partners, including PolitiFact, where this article is from. This is part of a broader strategy to get rid of fact-checking in general and swap over to a model that X embraces, which is community notes, as Silicon Valley prepares for Trump. And you can even see the announcement here on their official page. I'll go ahead and mute Mark Zuckerberg. He talks about it. You can see him talking there with subtitles if you want. Meta's explanation for this is more free speech and fewer mistakes. And if we scroll down in the Meta article to get a sense of what they're worried about, Meta says, in recent years, we've developed increasingly complex systems to manage content across our platforms, partly in response to societal and political pressure to moderate content. Meta believes this approach has gone too far. As well-intentioned as these efforts may have been, they've expanded over time to the point where they're making too many mistakes, frustrating our users, and often getting in the way of free expression that we set out to enable. Too much harmless content gets censored, and too many people find themselves wrongly locked up in Facebook jail, and we are often too slow to respond when they do. So basically, Meta's going on and on about they're ending their third-party fact-checking model to replace with a community notes model. They're going to be allowing more speech by lifting restrictions on some topics that are part of mainstream discourse, and instead focusing on highly illegal and high-severity violations. And here's a real kicker in the Meta article. There's a lot of other articles we're going to talk about today, but the Meta one says, we will take a more personalized approach to political content so that people who want to see it can see more of it in their timelines. Yay, even this article has a pretty big section on a personalized approach to political content. Other news organizations have had different takes. This is The Hill, and this is showing up politically everywhere because Facebook is a very politically influential platform. Almost everybody's grandma gets all their news from Facebook, and now there's going to be no fact-checking, no moderation, just community notes, and the AI users can contribute to community notes. So yay, even though Zuckerberg in his video acknowledged that more harmful content will appear on the platforms now, they fundamentally do not care. The reason that a lot of the fact-checking came up to begin with was not necessarily Trump stuff, but because people were telling other people to inject bleach into their eyeballs or make their children drink or other weird health stuff, and bizarre pseudo-religious cult behavior on the platform was spreading like wildfire, and people were getting hurt because of it. So almost all of that's probably going to come back, along with a godless hellscape of indeterminably real political facts on the platform. So Godspeed, everyone.
Here's a thought. If Meta is rolling out these AI profiles, what's stopping them from using AI to apply community notes or even moderate content? It's like they, swapped one thing for another and said, well, we're not using fact checkers anymore. And instead, they're just using AI to influence the content moderation. Imagine algorithms deciding what's acceptable online. Pretty chilling, right?
I was listening to Joe Rogan the other day, and he had said something that kind of stuck with me, and I hadn't really thought about it until just this minute. He had said, and they were talking about aliens, and he had said, just wait until the population realizes that plants are sentient beings. I remember seeing this meme on Facebook a while back that the smell of fresh cut grass, when you smell that, that's actually like trauma pheromone. That's the grass crying is basically what the meme said. Now I feel kind of bad every time I smell fresh cut grass or every time I have to cut my grass. Anyway, I got this guy on X who follows me, and anytime I post anything about eggs or meat or anything, he's a vegan and he always has to chime in. Posted about the price of eggs and how they're way up really high and how we, are struggling to afford it. And eggs used to be kind of our safe food. Like if I didn't have any money, I knew I'd always have $1.50 for a carton of eggs, and you can do a lot with a carton of eggs. Losers, he just jumps in, he's like, why are you eating eggs anyway? They come off that chicken's butt, and chickens are ground up and they're beat up alive and then they're put into chicken feed, and why would you support that? Normally I ignore this dude, but today I didn't because I had listened to the Joe Rogan episode a while back. And so I'd asked him the question. I said, hey, did you read the study where it turns out that plants are actually sentient beings? They have feelings. They are conscious. He comes back and he tells me not to be stupid. How do you feel about someone stepping on kittens? How do you feel about stepping on someone's grass? They're not the same, right? Well, no, they're not the same because you can hear the kittens cry when you step on them, but just because you can't hear the grass cry doesn't mean it's not happening. This conversation is going to come to a fevered pitch in the next couple years. The changing of the food guidelines, which is coming down the pipe thanks to RFK Jr. We've got hopefully some of the big pharma stuff that's going to be investigated, such as animal testing. We learned all of that, right? The beagles and the sand fleas and how he had of the beagles so that he couldn't hear them crying as they were being eaten alive by the sand fleas. I feel like if you're gonna be vegan, that's fine, but maybe you should go after big pharma for what they do to their animals. Instead of just being in my comments in a completely unrelated post, just running your mouth as if you're on some kind of moral high ground, because you're not. Vegans are brutally massacring and murdering plants, and they feel it. They feel everything. Just because you can't hear it doesn't mean it's not happening. I looked it all up, and apparently that plants have complex behaviors. Plants exhibit behaviors between communication, decision-making, and recognition of kin. Plants produce electrical activity in their vascular tissues and use signaling molecules similar to animals like GABA or serotonin. They have full-blown nervous systems. So if you're out here and you're being like a vegan and you're like, save the animals, like, you're not saving anything, okay? You're trading one sentient being in for another. Not on some moral high ground. You really want to do something? If you really want to do something, then be vegan because you don't like the way the big pharma tests on their animals. If you want to be vegan, that's fine, but do it for the unethical raising and butchering of animals. Educate people to get their animals from farms, small farms, from local butchers instead of buying mass production, say from like Walmart. Stop attacking the people just because they eat meat. You're no better than they are. You're just killing a different kind of sentient being. In my opinion, that's worse because you're just completely ignoring it because you can't hear them.
Ever seen the mycelium layer in a forest? It's like a gigantic neural network that distributes nutrients to weaker plants and even can restore ones which are dying. It knows how to prioritize the distribution, which is absolutely incredible, and it shows that plants might be a little bit more sentient than we think. On another note, it is important to be mindful of where your food comes from, vegan or not. I only buy from high welfare organic farms. It's a small change that makes a huge difference.
Hey friends, so the apocalypse continues. So don't worry, this is the good apocalypse. If you didn't know, that word is a Greek word that actually means the lifting of the veil of deception. So that word used to be used anytime there was like an era where things were corrupt and bad and lies were perpetrated and everything. And then you came to a period where the light was shined on the darkness and the truth came out and was exposed and all the bad people crumbled, and that ushered in this new age, and that was called the apocalypse. It was the lifting of the veil, okay? And then Christian, religions came and basically turned it into the end of the world. Well, for some people it is the end of their world, but it's not the end of the world. So what is happening in the world? Well, if you haven't heard, Justin Trudeau, the Prime Minister of Canada, just resigned, which made a lot of people in Canada happy. And that's significant because he has been in rule there for like 10 years and he's very powerful. And he quit, which is crazy. It sends shockwaves all through the political systems around the world. But those political systems are already in free fall. it's not just Canada. Germany is in the middle of a collapse. France, Austria, South Korea, their president was just basically arrested and impeached, and then the person they put in charge for him was impeached on top of that, you know. And in UK, our biggest ally, you know, they are going through crazy turmoil right now, where Starmer, I think they call him the prime minister over there, is in the middle of basically getting all these no confidence votes, and Elon is like launching a war on him because there's like these, I can't even say the word here, but there's bad people doing bad things over there, and evidently it's been covered up by the governments, and it's being exposed right now. So you see all that, and then on top of it, you know, we have our new transition coming in here. So what do we see? We see change on a level we've never seen before, around the entire world, sweeping the globe. All of these control systems, all of these powerful governments that have been, you know, ruling for so long are collapsing. And why are they collapsing? They're collapsing because of the people. They're collapsing because of the way that information flows around the world now. It's much harder to get away with things. It's much harder to hide things and be evil, because the light is getting shined from every direction into the darkness. And that's what an apocalypse is. It is bringing light to dark. It is lifting the veil of deception. But also what it is change. And change is uncomfortable. So I bring this up because so many people right now are talking about how they feel weird, right? Like, you know, it's hard to ignore. There's a palpable tension in the world right now. Everyone's like, I don't know what's happening, but it's freaking weird, right? Every time you turn on the news, you're like scared, like, I don't know what the hell is going to happen today, right? This is change, and change can be uncomfortable, and change can be weird, change can be scary. We're only 6 days into this year, and it's just like, oh my God. So this is all good. I really think that this is good. This is the end of an old era and the ushering in of a new era. The problem is these people don't want to leave. They don't want to relinquish control. They don't want to just, you know, sail off into the sunset. A lot of them don't want to go to prison. So they're going to fight. They're going to make things very awkward for everybody. So we have to just come together as people, as humans. This is our Earth, okay? And we have to say, hey, you know, it's going to be weird. We're going through this like detox, this cleanse, and you know, we just have to make it through this rough patch, because then after this, I think it's going to be good, right? And it doesn't matter if you know, who you voted for or anything like that. I think that all this means is transition. Like, I'm not a Trumper, okay? I've been called that many times by many people, because if I ever even say his name, you know, I get labeled that, but I'm not. There's a lot of things about the man I don't like, period. But I see him as a representation of change and of dramatic change. And I think that this country needs dramatic change. I think most countries in the Western world and the civilized world need change. I think that, you know, we've been doing things a certain way for a long time, and it got us to certain levels, you know, certain checkpoints. But overall, I think that we are just scratching the surface of our potential. And I think most of these control systems are keeping us from reaching our potential. So I think that it's the time for change, you know, and this is the time. And I see the guy coming in office in our country as representing change. I see what's happening in Canada representing change, what's happening in Austria, what's happening in France, what's happening in, you know, the UK, what's happening in South Korea, what's happening in Germany. All of this is change, and it's being demanded by the people. And I've never seen anything quite like this. And I think it's pretty exciting. But I'm not gonna lie, it's gonna get a little weird, okay? If you haven't noticed. But anyways, I think it's good. Let me know what you think. Have a beautiful day. Peace.
You know what, he's right when you think about the fact that we are now entering an age of new truth. Discernment, though, is more critical now than ever. As these narratives develop, we need to ask what else is happening in the background. Who stands to gain from the distraction? We have to stick together, Woken family. Community is our strength. Thank you so much for watching today's video. If you did enjoy it, please consider hitting that like button. It's a very small action, but it makes a massive difference. And don't forget to share this video on your own social media to help grow our Woken family. It makes a huge difference. But for now, stay safe, stay well, and stay curious. Until next time.